Everyone, and welcome to this episode of OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you all the stories and journeys of people you already know, the creatives, the inspirers, and we talk about mental health here. Today, my guest is out of this world. She's incredible. We reached across the globe to find her. She's inspiring, and she's going to lift you in a way by sharing her personal journey in a way that you never thought possible. So please sit back, get ready. Julie Elves is my guest. She's a certified life coach, and her story will amaze you. I'm Marcos Luis. Here we go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. You already know who I am. It's Marcos Luis, Mr. OneMicNite, and I want to thank you and welcome you to another episode of Season 5. It's been a long, long journey, and we've documented some incredible people helping to inspire your lives with their journey, and today is no exception. So today I'm extremely excited because we're reaching across the pond. This is a worldwide event. So get ready. She is a certified life coach and her name is Julie Elves. Make sure I say that correctly. I want to welcome her to the show. Welcome, Julie. How you doing?
Hi, Marcos. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I know we've had a little scheduling problem, but we make it happen, right?
No, we got there in the end. Divine timing.
Well, I have questions. The first
Okay.
question is, who is Julie Elves?
Oh, good question. Okay. So I'm known as the Fearless Lioness Specialist
Mm,
because I was a scared, invisible, abused, people-pleasing kitten.
mm.
And I have, through personal development, curiosity, wanting to improve myself, I have become a fearless, strong, and confident lioness with a very loud roar.
I
Okay.
love it. Mhm.
So I help people. This is part of my star seed mission. My purpose in life is to help women in particular, because I feel like the female population is starting to come to flourish and come out, and their power is finally unleashing. And so I want to help them unleash their power, which is their natural lioness instincts,
I love
and
it.
to help them find their roar, just like I did.
I love that. So listen, I have so many questions for you because you said a lot of things right now.
Okay.
Can we back it up just a little bit? Where are you right now?
Oh, I'm based in the lovely Italian Alps at the moment, the French side of Italy, as
I
opposed to
love,
the other. Yeah.
I love this because what you're talking about is such a universal, it's a global thing. And so this is
Mm,
why I wanted to reach out and find out what your story was. So
okay.
how did you grow up? What was what was life like for you?
Well, I have a very, very interesting story. I'll try and put it into a nutshell.
Mhm.
I'm busy writing my memoir about it. But basically, I was born in Hong Kong. I believe as the boat people, tribe of people who lived there in Hong Kong in the 70s. And I was kidnapped as a baby on the streets of Hong Kong, snatched away at the very early age of 2 years old from my mother, and then dumped in a bin, in a dumpster. You call it a dumpster in an alleyway.
Wow.
I wasn't reunited with my family, so I was sent to an orphanage where I was lucky enough. and blessed enough to be adopted by a wonderful British couple who were living in Hong Kong at the time. So I have unfortunately lost my mother tongue, which is Cantonese, but I still regained some of the Cantonese culture because I lived in Hong Kong. But I'm essentially the best of both worlds, basically.
Right.
I, I'm the best of British and the best of the Orient.
Exactly. And I think, how does that fuel who you are? Because there's probably a lot that's unknown and
Oh
then a
yeah,
lot that's, learned. So how does that
yeah.
fuel you as a person?
Well, me as a person today, I am very much comfortable in my own skin, and I have my own unique identity now. But growing up, Um, I I was shaped and I was programmed into the daughter my parents wanted me to be. Okay.
Yes.
And I was influenced a lot by society and everything else the world was throwing at you when you're growing up. So it's taken me a while to realize, I don't have to have I don't have to keep these crazy superstitions that my mother taught me when I was a child that don't make any sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just started shedding layers like an onion, an onion, and you peel off the layers, and
Right.
then eventually you get to the core of the onion. And I have to say this, I don't know if your listeners are aware of this, your viewers, that we are all born lions and lionesses, but over time it just gets lost in all the sound and the noise and the distractions, and we become cocooned in like an onion. So we have to peel back the layers and really find out who we truly are deep inside. What is our passion? What do we want to do in life? What is our purpose here in life? What are we trying to create for ourselves, for humanity? Okay.
Right. Those are the
Mm.
big questions we have to ask. And as you said, it's for lions and it's for lionesses. It's
Mhm.
for everyone. And where
Yes.
where do we when and where do we reach that point in our lives where, okay, this is what I need to do in order to move forward with my own life? At what
Mm.
point was it for you?
Usually because I was brought up British, I'm quite stubborn, and I've probably had so many signals from the universe and in my life trying to guide me in a direction of personal development, self-improvement, changing my mindset, all of this good stuff. But I think I was just too stubborn to see it or to recognize it. It wasn't until 2006 when my beloved father died, and a ton of really traumatic experiences happened at the same time, one after the other after the other. It's a very significant moment in my life, which created a lot of depression and
Hmm.
sadness because I was grieving not only for my father, who I didn't think I had a very strong bond, but when you cry nonstop for 12 hours for someone, you realize there must have been a strong bond that you weren't aware of. And I also realized during this period when he was dying that my fiance of 5 years was narcissistic.
Mm,
And so I decided after 5 years of this narcissistic behavior, I suddenly woke up and I decided, no, I've had enough. I don't need to be in this kind of toxic relationship. So I ended that relationship at the same time. So I was basically going through grief. I went through two waves of grief for my partner and for my father,
yes.
which really plunged me into a very deep, dark tunnel or well. And at the time, I didn't know how to climb out of the well or get through the tunnel. And I had to get counseling. My family didn't understand what was going on with me because they were also going through their own grief. My friends couldn't relate to what was going on with me. Um, my manager and my company unfortunately thought I was mentally unstable to be working, so they let me go, which
Mm,
which which was not the right thing really that I needed. I needed some kind of routine and stability in my life, but they thought I was They thought that they were doing the right thing. They had good intentions. And so it was the love, the unconditional love of an animal that helped me get through this very dark 10-month period.
Wow.
And I really went into severe depression. I was overeating on comfort food. I was having suicidal thoughts. I had nothing but negative thoughts about myself, not being good enough, and all of this stuff was happening to me because I deserved it, and all of this, you know. Um, and this cat never left my side, and she could sense my vibrations were very low, and she really helped me. I went to a grievance counselor, but I felt that that was just me wasting the rest of the little money I had left. And then it wasn't until, excuse me, I went, my last resort was to go to the doctor. Okay, I'm not big on medicine.
Hmm.
I grew up popping pills for colds, you know, and
Right.
snivels and like this. And I had to move away from that because I knew it wasn't good for my body. I could sense it wasn't good for my body. So this was a real last resort for me to go and see a doctor. And he prescribed me diazepam, which is an antidepressant, a very strong one. And even though every thing in my body, my soul basically was telling me not to do it, I took half a tablet. And as I was walking up the stairs to bed, I was so woozy, I had to hold the side of the walls to steady me. And I thought, and then suddenly this voice came out of nowhere that said, "No, you can do this, Julie. You have the strength within you. You have the knowledge inside of you. You can get through this." So I went into my library. I didn't have many self-development books back then,
Hmm.
but there were two significant books which I think you might have heard of, and your listeners and viewers might have heard of. Um, Chicken Soup for the Soul by Jack Canfield.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very inspiring and motivational.
Right.
And Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. What a life-changing book. That
Wow.
saved my life, that book.
Wow.
Yes.
I
So
think,
with
go ahead.
just with those two books, I was able to crawl out, and I just found the courage within me. And I realized from that point on that if I could get past this 10-month period, then I was unstoppable. I was going to be stronger. And this lioness came out of me. But it wasn't until a friend of mine, only about 7, 8 years ago, said, "You have this lion character, personality about you. And I see you as a lioness." So I thought, well, that would be great if I could help the world, the female population at least, uh, unleash and find rediscover their lioness within themselves, just like I had.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You've touched on so many different things, and I have a lot of questions about those. So, a lot of people, grief is a huge part of
Mm,
everyone's life.
yes.
Letting go of the grief is a huge step to moving forward. Grief is
Mm,
an obstacle that we have, and until people stop grieving about something, we're not moving forward. We're always carrying that with us. And we all share the common denominator of losing someone important in our life or a
yes.
relationship you grieve for, as you said. I personally, my grandmother was a rock in our family. When I lost
Hmm.
her, I was grieving. I silently grieved, but at the same time, I had to get to a place where I knew that for me, and this is my personal opinion,
Hmm.
the spirit is with me. So that is what fuels me to move forward.
Yes.
So you no longer grieve, but you carry that along with you in an energy that moves you forward,
Yes. Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yes. And
Um,
I
mhm,
highly suggest, sorry, that this is very good advice. I highly suggest that everybody goes through the grieving processes, the
sure.
process, either 5 or 7 stages, depending on who you hear, who
Hmm.
you listen to. But if you allow yourself to go through these stages, you will come out the other end stronger, with clarity, and with a plan of moving forward. And then your past does not define who you are in the future. You've let go of it, you've processed it emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the same
Mm.
thing with, forgiving people. Forgiving people, there has to be some clarity at the end, and you have
Mm.
to reach the catharsis of it all. You let it go. You no longer
Uh-huh.
attach yourself to that energy and
Yes.
forgive. It's the same thing.
Yes, forgiveness is really
It's
powerful.
a
I've done a talk on forgiveness. Yes.
mhm.
I've done my own forgiveness rituals. Powerful. Yes.
And so how do you empower women with what you do? Your own story is powerful.
Mm.
And how do you empower women to become the
Okay.
lionesses?
Well, based on what I have personally learned through self-development and following a ton of gurus out there, I've put together my own Unleash Your Lioness coaching program, which has a lot of it doesn't just follow one kind of modality. It has a huge mixture because there's I'd like to say one size does not fit all in the on our spiritual journey, yeah, through life.
Agreed, agreed,
So
100%.
but even if one modality doesn't have a wonderful significant effect on you, it still has an effect on you. And it's almost like this is a great analogy. It's almost like putting a jigsaw puzzle together with a
Yes,
thousand pieces. Even though that one healing session or whatever it is that you're looking for um, doesn't feel like it completes you or fixes you, yeah, it's still part and parcel of your journey, and it's going to get you further and further to the better, the new improved human being that you want to be, right?
right.
Yeah.
I think
So,
mhm.
yeah.
I think just by definition, spirituality means an individual relationship. So what your individual spirituality is
Yes.
significant to you. It's your own personal connection,
Exactly. Yes.
right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yes.
that, yeah, I don't even know what to say now. I've lost my thought, but it's the connection that you have.
Mm.
What else I was going to say was you talked about also, going to doctors, going to having medicine. It's
Yes.
also an individual situation too. Maybe
Yes.
the therapist won't help you. That's not what will help you personally. You're individual. The medicine
Mm.
won't help you. It's more so when you have made up your mind, you have a self-awareness of where you are and where you'd
Mm.
like to go. So it's almost a mindset. It's the
Yes.
mindset of yourself that's pushing you forward,
Exactly.
right?
Aware Awareness
Mhm.
is really, really key. A lot of us, I hate to say it because I used to be one.
Mhm.
We're just walking around with blinkers on and
Yes.
like robots
Yes.
on autopilot constantly. And when you suddenly get that, whatever it is for you, but for me, it was like something happened in the world and it just didn't make any sense to me. And that's when my curious mind kicked in and I decided, is my reality truly my reality? Is there another reality that another kind of life I could be living that has more excitement, more adventure? I have to say, since I stepped away from that personality, that character, that reality, my life has been an absolute roller coaster, and it's never a dull moment. Okay. And there are times sometimes when I feel like, oh, I just want to stop the world and get off. But then there are other times when I have these huge highs and I'm like on top of the world and I'm thinking, yes, this is what I need to be doing, right?
Right.
And I
And
and I didn't have that before because I was just a robot
a
on
robot.
all
And isn't
robot.
that the thing? That's normal.
Yes,
That's a normal feeling. We all have those feelings where life is a roller coaster. It's
yes,
never going to be a perfect,
yes.
pathway. There's going to be
Mhm.
obstacles in our way. There are going to be ups and downs. And we just have to remember what our pathway is. And as you said, our purpose. How do we
Yes.
find our purpose?
Oh, wow. That's a profound question. I have learned a great technique from one of my guest speakers, and that is to keep asking yourself um, and repeat the pretty much the same question 6 levels deep.
Mm,
What is it that you're passionate passionate about? What is it that lights you up? For me, that's educating somebody,
Mm,
and that's either sharing knowledge, experience, my wisdom. Yeah. Um, and I do this because I'm passionate and I know I'm making an impact in the world, and this is what I give to the world. But what is it for you that really lights you up? And then you ask yourself, why does it light you up? What is the reason behind it? Then when you get that answer, you ask yourself, but why is that particular reason so important to you? Okay.
hmm.
And um, what impact can you make to the world around you with with the answers that you've just given? Okay. And then with those answers, you can then determine what is it your main purpose in life. Then if you do something called an ikigai test, you can actually, depending on how in depth they are, the one that you do, you can actually pinpoint the kind of job you should be doing.
Hmm.
It's fascinating. The ikigai, it's a Japanese,
I was going to say,
uh,
is that Japanese? Yeah.
yeah, it's a Japanese
Yeah.
personality test. Yeah, a real deep dive. So when I did mine, it came up with coach, mentor, instructor, teacher. I mean, these are all the things I do. So it's like, yes, I'm spot on, you know?
Right. It's interesting because in the world we live right now, which is such a pop culture world, most
Yes,
people are driven by money. Most people are driven by fame, and they
yes.
feel like, oh, my purpose and my goal is to make a lot of money in life. Is
Mm-hmm.
that the case? I mean, is that what your purpose is,
That's
in your
what I
opinion?
used to think.
Hmm.
Yes, money was everything. But when you live in a world that's controlled by money, you tend to get into this frame of mind of thinking of, I'm in competition with someone else. I have to have the latest gadget. I have to have a bigger house. I have to have a better car. You're constantly in fight mode, survival mode, and stress. It's not good for your body to be
Right.
in this state. You should be, if you want to live longer and a happier life, then be content with what you have, even if it's a lot or even if it's a little. There's a great saying that I love to tell people and share. It is better to be happy with little than miserable with much.
That's
And I
true.
and I visited three of um, the poorest countries in the world: India, Cuba, and the Philippines. Okay,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
excluding Africa because most of Africa is poor. But these are these countries. I saw the happiest, most content people in the world, and yet there was so much poverty everywhere you looked, and yet they were so hospitable, so kind, so generous. Everything they did was came from the heart, and I think this is how I feel in the Western culture. We are not in tune with what our heart is telling us that we should be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of people are missing right now the human connection, the humanity of
Yes.
life. And as you said, as you travel the world, you learn so much more because the way people live versus the way we live in our
Yeah.
in our societies, me in
Yeah.
the United States, living in New York, is a
Mm-hmm.
lot different than the way my people live in Cuba. I've been to Cuba as well. And,
Ah, lovely. Mm-hmm.
the generosity, the
Yes.
simplicity, the minimalist way of life, they
Mm-hmm.
make the happiness out of what they have. The contentment
Yes.
comes from what they have. They know that there's no other possibility of things happening. So you live your life based on what you have. And that's where you find your happiness. Your happiness is with your family. Your happiness
Yes.
is with your friends, and you
Mm-hmm.
create games. And I remember, even myself growing up here in the United States, we didn't grow up I didn't grow up in a rich family, although I've gone to, some very exclusive schools. And now that I'm in a different point in my life, I remember not having a lot. I remember having fun with my friends and playing games with balls and, the rocks on the street, or we play tag. And, it's just what we had. It was our family that brought the happiness,
Yes.
and the contentment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
you're so right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I feel like the world is getting more and more moving away from that. because now kids, it's rare that you can find kids in the Western world just playing happily, unsupervised in the street, doing what kids do best, getting
Right.
up to a little bit of mischief,
Right.
being innocent, being curious, inquisitive. I mean, I got up to a lot of some of it dangerous stuff,
Right.
but it was all part and parcel of growing up and my innocence, and it made me the person I am today. And half of the stuff I
You
did,
just said it. It
yeah,
made you
half
the
of the
person
things
who
that
you are. Exactly. Yeah.
yes, yeah, but half of the stuff I did, my parents never knew about. We never
Right.
told,
Right.
and some of it was dangerous.
And it's okay because you learned something you were allowed to, not maybe not allowed, but you found out what the danger was and you found the boundaries of where you should go and where you shouldn't go. And all those
Exactly,
things you keep in your mind, and that's made you who you are today.
definitely, yes, yeah, because as 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 much as we do need to listen to our elders and authoritarians and that, we have to make our own decisions as well. What is not necessarily good and bad, but what is right for me, what will help me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm?
You talked a little bit about having pressure from your family. How important is it for people to allow themselves to be free to then become a lioness?
Oh, it's extremely important. When we talk about the journey of a lion or lioness, um, the journey of especially of a lion is very much a solitary animal in the animal kingdom, and the lion, as you know, has a harem of lionesses. But it's not the lion that goes out hunting for the food. It's the lioness, and it's also the lioness who looks after all the cubs and the next heir to the animal, this pride of lions, yeah, lions and lionesses. So it's uh, if if we're looking at the lion and the lioness analogy, then family is really, really important. It's the keystone to their existence, and it's so important to have your freedom, to be given your space to discover who you are, to behave the way that you need to behave, which is what your soul is telling you how to behave. So many years I've been silenced, especially when it comes to emotions. So, and I know a lot of men in the world have been taught, because of this patriarchal system that we live in, that it's very weak to show emotions. And that's the way I was brought up.
Mhm.
And I was brought up with a lot of masculine energy. So, I studied computer engineering, and I studied electrical engineering. So I've got all of this masculine energy,
Right.
but you need to be a balanced human being. You can't just
Right.
have all masculine energy or all feminine energy. We need to have yin and yang in harmony together. So, like going back to what I was talking about with grief, you have to go through the grief and the grievance process. Yeah, the grieving process, sorry, where you are crying and you're feeling weak and vulnerable, but that's not a weakness. That's you expressing yourself and healing and moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And people have to know that everyone goes through that process. And
Mm.
if you don't, you may not reveal your truth. You may not
Yeah.
find the authentic self. And that's where we need to be. At some
Mm.
times we need to be down, as low as we can go to shed
Yeah.
those layers, like you said, as an onion, and really figure out who we are and where we want to go in our lives. That's what's
Yeah.
revealed.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And some of us do it quite a number of times, and we kind of rise out of the ashes like a
Hmm.
phoenix.
Right.
We rediscover ourselves. So it's almost like a play. You have act one, and then you have
Right.
act two, act three, act four. But it's a play with unlimited number of acts. You know?
And it's okay. And I keep saying
Yes.
it's okay because this is a process, that everyone needs to know is okay. We have to discover ourselves. We have to allow ourselves to be who we are. We have to
Yeah.
find out who we are and our own identity. And as you said, you went through engineering and all these other things. And maybe that's not even who you want it to be. Maybe that was something
No.
that you felt the pressure to be,
Yes,
But in
definitely.
in the traumatic situations that you had with your
Yeah.
relationship with your family, that's when you
Mm,
started to shed the layers and you said, "This is who I
yeah.
am. This is my purpose." Right?
Yes, yes, and you touched on a sore point there, but it's okay because the what I was doing growing up was trying to fit the mold of the stereotype that my father wanted me to be because my parents adopted two girls, not a boy and a girl. So I felt like I had to kind of step into the role of the boy and
Yeah.
follow in my father's footsteps, which is what I was doing. And gadgets and engineering stuff and logic and all of this stuff was very interesting for me. So he kind of shaped me into a mini version of him. And it wasn't until he actually died that I felt this feeling of freedom and liberation from
That's
having to fit this mold that I definitely didn't fit,
right.
and constantly looking for his approval as well, which is not what we should be doing, right?
Right.
But
What do you say to all the people, and I would say maybe younger people and even older people who
mhm,
feel that pressure? How can we help them to know that they shouldn't have that pressure? What do you say to them?
mm, okay, there is an amazing quotation. I don't know who said it, but basically, life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% how we react.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
We have the choice. It's up to us. We have, even though it might seem like a situation where we are stuck between a rock and a hard place, we still have a choice of whether we want to be behind the rock or in the hard place,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So we have the choice to wake up in the morning and be happy or sad. Do I want to be happy because the sun is shining? Or do I want to be sad because it's raining outside?
Right.
Or if we flip it into the positive, do I want to be happy because it's raining outside and I know that the rain is very good for Mother Nature? And in a couple of weeks, there'll be a lot of dandelions and beautiful flowers coming out.
Right.
Okay. So it really, it's our choice how we um, look after ourselves, how we think about things, and how we react mainly to people. So if we're getting all of this pressure, we can, if you want, develop a thick skin which protects you from the pressure so you're not so reactive to it. Okay.
Mm.
So we need to take time to contemplate what this pressure is, what demands are being forced on us, and is this what we want? Is this what is good for us and our soul and our journey? Take time out to really assess what's going on, and then you make a choice. You decide: do I want to be influenced by this pressure, or do I just want to say no? Yeah, because we
Yeah.
all have a choice. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. I think that ties up everything that we said. It's basically your mindset. It's how you want to react, assessing the situation and changing your own mindset about the way you view things.
It definitely
Yeah.
starts with mindset, and my coaching program does start with the mindset kind of things, yes. But it also goes into the energy, the law of attraction, which is it's all about energy, frequency, and vibration, as per Nikola Tesla.
Mhm.
So we need to be in tune with all of the five sacral bodies, not just the physical and the mental, which is basically you being a robot in autopilot.
Mhm.
If you don't add the spiritual and the emotional, you're not a complete human being, right?
Right.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about your course and how people can do your course. Is it, can we do it virtually? Is it,
Oh yes, definitely
yes. Okay.
virtually. Yes. Yeah, it's a 12-week course and it's broken down into three phases. The first phase is building up an image of your life because people who come to me are in a very negative space. So I get them to think, to move them away from thinking about their current situation and moving towards their future, which is full of abundance and wonderful things, to get them into that frame of mind where they're thinking
Yes.
happy, they're raising their vibrations. Then I move them over to phase 2, which is to implement some very powerful tools and modalities, getting them to think positively, having an attitude of gratitude, understanding where their fear comes from, their low self-esteem. And the final phase, phase 3, is about mastering some skills that they can use after they finish the course, and it will stay with them. And during the course, I get them to record their voice, because it's also about changing the programming we have in our subconscious mind.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
you do that in the most powerful way by recording your voice, programming yourself about what you believe, right? And so you would be, I get people to not just listen to motivational music with powerful lyrics, but they say motivational things and record it, and then they have to listen to it regularly over this
Oh,
12-week period.
wow. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You're using all the tools, like
Yes.
really all the tools. I love this. Um,
Yes.
what about the guys? This is something I'd like to take this course.
Well, I am opening up. Yes. I mean,
Hmm.
it is tailored for women, but it can equally be done for guys. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Especially the guys who want to balance out their yin and their yang. Yeah.
Hmm.
And become, like I said, whole human beings.
Right.
So
Complete.
yeah,
That's what we need.
complete. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And
So, mhm.
I just want to say that I'm offering a 50% discount at the moment, because it's still the early New Year period. So that's what I'm offering at the moment, a 50% discount on this amazing course. And I have a great testimonial from one of my clients who was able to halve her fears and double her self-esteem, and she
Beautiful.
did the course in 6 weeks, intensive, instead of the 12 weeks.
I love it. I love it. Now you have a book as well, you said you mentioned before that you're
I
writing.
am working on a
Mhm.
memoir,
Good.
that's correct, but I'm planning to publish another book that's more business related, with a great title: Massive, Magnificent, no, Massive Magical Manifestations.
Mm, that's juicy. That's
Yay!
juicy.
So
I like it.
I teach you the basics of the law of attraction, which is based on my law of attraction challenge I do. But I also share the amazing manifestation stories that I have. And my biggest manifestation story to date is being evicted during COVID, and having somebody give me their second home, rent free, rent and bills free.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
because when COVID happened, I basically lost my bread and butter income,
Right.
because I was doing face-to-face teaching, English teaching at the time, and then I moved into coaching, because that was the next step of my journey, was to do this coaching and to have a much wider reach and wider impact on the world through my coaching. So,
I love this. Julie, you have just brightened my day,
oh,
and this is incredible. And I want to share this with everyone. Is there anything else you want us to know?
no, no, that's fine. I have my Facebook
Yeah,
private
tell us how we
group.
can get in touch with you. Sure.
Yeah, well, you can find me on Facebook.
Hmm.
That's my main platform. Um, and I have my free group for upcoming lionesses and lions and lions, because lions and lionesses, I've opened it up. Um, Feel excited and raw.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, this is my definition of the acronym FEAR. Feel excited and roar.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay?
I love that. I love it.
So that's my free group, and then I
Okay.
have my private paid membership group called Unleash Your Lioness.
Unleash Your Lioness. Okay.
Yes.
Well, everyone, we'll have all that information down in the notes of the episode. I want to thank you, Julie Elves, all the way from Italy. We're reaching across the world to bring you some incredible, incredible information. Please make sure you follow her. Join the groups. She has a private group. She's doing a special right now. So if you want to get in and learn the courses, please do so. Contact her. As I said, the information will be in the notes of this episode. Thank you very much, everyone. The show is called OneMicNite, OneMicNite. Watch the show on YouTube. We'll be streaming live on Facebook, and we'll be doing a lot of things coming up this season. OneMicNite has a big surprise, as I said, at the end of the year, so make sure you follow us. Also, the merchandise is in the store. You'll find the link to the notes down on the bottom. Make sure you get your OneMicNite t-shirt and mugs and everything else. My name is Marcos Luis, Marcosluis. Hit me up on Instagram. Thank you for joining me for this episode of OneMicNite. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.